Hello, Louisa Jewell here. We at the Canadian Positive Psychology Association launched the first Canadian Workplace Wellbeing Awards in 2021 to seek out companies who were committed to the health and happiness of their employees and also to learn from these companies. Now, if the awards is new to you, you can learn more by going to cppa.ca/CWWA 2024. Now in its third year, I am thrilled that we had 10 winning organizations across Canada in 2023. I have the great honor and privilege to interview our winners to learn more about how they improve well-being in the workplace, including strategies, tools, and tips. Today, I am interviewing Denise Ropp, who is a Regional Director, North America at PulseLearning. They won in the small company category this year. Now, established in 1999, PulseLearning is a premier global learning solutions provider. Their expert teams use cutting-edge technology and proven learning science to craft workforce-enhancing learning solutions for clients across sectors. These solutions drive business transformation, behavior change, and future innovation. The training is personalized, featuring intuitive prompts such as detailed menus, engaging motion graphics, interactive activities, and real-life case studies. PulseLearning tailored courses meeting organizational compliance and the diverse employee base. Listen in as Denise shares their unique approach to improve well-being in the workplace. And now I'd like to introduce you to Denise Ropp from PulseLearning. Denise, congratulations to PulseLearning. You won the Canadian Workplace Wellbeing Awards in the small business category. So congratulations.
Thank you so much. We are so excited. We are so excited to spread the word. That's really probably, I mean, it's great that, it's good that what we're doing inside the business, but it's just spreading the word of positive psychology and positive well-being inside workplaces. That's the goal.
Well, and that's really the reason why we started the Canadian Workplace Wellbeing Awards. We didn't want to just be giving out awards, which is also fun too, and a great thing to celebrate companies that are going above and beyond. But we wanted to learn. We wanted to learn the strategies and the tools, and we wanted to learn the how. And so thank you very much for agreeing to be interviewed, and because we want to learn a little bit more about how you do it at PulseLearning. And one of the, the core initiative that you have at PulseLearning, and I can see it just behind you there in your video, I Am Here, the I Am Here initiative. I know it's based on Tim Lomas's life model. Tim is a big-time positive psychology researcher. And the program centers around the power of one, emphasizing the impact that a single conversation can have on someone's well-being. Please tell us more about the I Am Here initiative and this idea that it centers around a single conversation.
Thank you so much. It's such a great question, and yet does focus on one. And that's part of the power in that, is that it's just one. It's not like I have to go out and do 350. It's one. I just have to have one conversation. And whether that's about actually asking someone, and as my sign behind me says, it's okay not to feel okay, and it's absolutely okay to ask for help. And so if you're able to walk up to someone and be able to say to them, are you okay? Because it's okay not to feel okay, and it's absolutely okay to ask for help. That changes that individual's life. And then every part of the ripple around that, it changes every part of their life as well. And it's going to shift everything for the workplace, for the person that made that. So the power of one really comes down to being conscious of the fact that we're all going to have challenges. We're all going to see challenges on a day-to-day basis. And it's really how we deal with them and how the people around us deal with them. How much support do we have around us? And them stepping in one at a time. So when it comes to that power of one, like I said, if I'm able to ask the question and then be able to direct them to a place where they can get support. Do you need a phone? Do you need to sit down and have a phone call to a counselor with the EAP? And I'm going to use workplace scenarios here because this is workplace stuff we're talking about. But so I may be able to direct them to an EAP. I may need to give them time off. I may need to just give them a quiet space for a period of time. But what this does, and we've seen it time and time again, is when someone is asked that question and then able to answer it truthfully. No, I need some help. Okay. And then you begin to problem solve. And whether that's just, I was able to tell somebody else what my problem was, like I see people, and we all driving on any highway that's anywhere near any of us, you see road rage. And that in fact, what caused that? Is that a lack of sleep? Is that they didn't eat right? Is that they're in a hurry, they're late? Is there there's a whole pile of reasons for road rage and for the way some people are driving, and you can't make those assumptions about what's going on until you ask that person. So until you're able to have that conversation with that individual, I mean, my own personal thing is to give them a little bit of grace, and because something's clearly going on in their life and they need to deal with it. But being able to ask those questions.
Yeah.
We have one of our employees actually commented that after we put I Am Here in place, he felt that he was a better man. He was a better father. He was a better husband.
There we go.
He was a better community member. He was he was a better friend to all of his buddies. And
I think that's what people want. I think they want to be better for the people that matter to them in their lives, right?
That's just one question.
Yeah, and that kind of testimonial for the work that you're doing is perfect. It's exactly what you want. You want to affect people's lives, not just at work, but beyond work, because they bring their outside lives to work. And I like this idea of a simple conversation, because I think some companies are trying to boil the ocean on everything. And I think sometimes, and you're doing a lot of things, within this initiative. So I'm not suggesting that you're just doing one thing, but, there's a lot of moving parts in this initiative. But I like that you make it simple for employees, that you can have an impact with just one conversation. And one of the things that we focus in the Canadian Workplace Wellbeing Awards is to reach out to companies who are implementing positive psychology-based programs. Why was that important for you to be based in positive psychology?
Why was it important? Well, because it is really about the person. It's not about, I have a long career in OC health and disability case and claims management and nursing, and people, what I've seen, and in the whole positive psychology thing, people really have three things that they need. They need to be seen, they need to be valued, and they need to have a purpose. And when you're able to tap into those ideas, when you're able to talk talk about the positives, because life's not easy. It's not easy for, it's filled with all kinds of things and fear being a big one, fear about moving in anyone, fear of being wrong. But there are so many things that if we look at the positive side of things, if we look at the things that we could be grateful for, if we look at the things that are open to us and move in those directions, and if we're also able to hold that, it's actually good. That, what we're doing here is actually good, rather than, letting ourselves succumb to the negative and the pressures and not seeing the best in each other. When we're able to actually make the assumption that you're doing your best, make that assumption.
Yes, and I think that, that's the difference, between other programs. And, positive psychology really does allow you to have that lens, that solution lens, the let's move forward lens, the relationship lens, the, let's be more engaged lens. Those are all positives. Not to say that you're going to ignore the negative, because there's a lot of stuff in positive psychology that helps you deal with the negative as well. But it does give you that good framework and that good lens. It's a different perspective on a company, rather than just being so deficit based or focused on, on weaknesses all the time. So, you in your when you were telling us about your program, you talked a little bit about how the program came about through your executive chairman at PulseLearning, Jim Breen. And I love it. I was wondering if you would share the story, how did it come about, and how did he transform?
Well, so several years ago, 2015, 2016, he was approached by an Irish television show to come on and be interviewed because of his entrepreneurship. PulseLearning has been around for 25 years now, and do great work in training, education, behavioral change, supporting that within organizations. So we build those programs out. We help employees learn. That's essentially what we do. So what he was approached because it was flying off the shelves. Like the business was growing immensely, very quickly. And so they approached him about being on the show. And he said the only way that he would be on the show is if it had something to do with mental health. And they're like, yeah, well, that's not very sexy. And that's not what we want to talk about. And he's like, I don't care. And that came from the idea that he was recognizing his own mental health. I mean, his success was going, skyrocketing, but his mental health was going through his boots, because he was flying around the world and he's participating in all of these great things. He's jetting here and jetting there, and, meeting so-and-so and that kind of thing. And it just gets to the point where you're stretched, you're overstretched. What are some of those things? Well, he wasn't able to do his fitness routine. He wasn't able to eat properly. So his nutrition was suffering. He wasn't able to sleep properly because he was going through all these time zones. And so all of those things were really playing on his mental health, the stress, I got to get a sale, I got to do this, like all that kind of stuff really was playing hard on him. And they finally relented and said, yeah, okay, so we'll do that. We'll let you talk about mental health. He did create Cycle for Suicide in Ireland, which is still going strong today, where they will cycle to bring up the awareness. And the whole deal was to make mental health a conversation that happens at the dinner table.
Nice.
So remove the stigma, get rid of that stuff, and let's have these conversations at the dinner table. Ultimately, what happened from that is Woolworths approached Jim at the end of the show and said, yeah, we need this program and we need it built into our corporate structure. And Jim was like, yeah, no. And then 6 months later, they said, yeah, you're doing it. So he ended up creating I Am Here for Woolworths. And so we're we're able to offer it to others, but that's the basic story, is where it came from. We apply it within, and it's funny to be sitting there, because that's, I'll put in some extra hours and they'll go, now you really have to look after your mental health. Remember, you're working for a mental health company. And I chuckle, yeah. This is North America, but yeah, I chuckle.
No, but I think it brings up the point that it is important to have that leadership buy-in, and usually at the top. So when you can have a CEO who transforms, a chairman who transforms like that, that can be really a good catalyst. So what would you recommend for companies maybe that don't have that leadership buy-in? Maybe you've got some, really passionate people in different levels in the company, but you don't have that CEO level buy-in.
So when I see that, and having worked in Occ Health, I've seen different companies and how they handle that kind of stuff. Some of it is they just don't know what they don't know, and many, I would say, all organizations within gradients, but all organizations are really honestly trying to do their best for their employees. They're putting in the policies, they're putting in the procedures, they're doing the standards, they're doing the they're looking at the standard. They might be looking at it as a nice white paper, but they're at least looking at the standard. But they're looking and trying to do things right. They put in Wellness Wednesdays, corporate Fridays. They do the right compensation. They give people off when they need people off. They've got the EAPs. They've got the employee benefits. So I think that they are all really trying to do exactly the right thing. They just don't understand why they're not getting buy-in and engagement from their employees. And they're lost. And that's what they will typically say is, well, yeah, but the employees aren't engaging. Well, you almost need this sandwich kind of idea to start to work. So getting corporate buy-in, getting that CEO buy-in, because they'll look at it and go, it's a lot of money to spend. This is really,
exactly.
And so, but if they understand the ROI, so that return on investment, Deloitte has written on it, KPMG has written on it. They'll talk about a minimum of $5, right? For every dollar.
And you got some good, remarkable results, business outcomes, and we saw that you had a significant drop in annual turnover, like a very significant drop in annual turnover. And if anybody actually does a calculation on how much turnover costs the company, depending on how big your company is, that's a lot of money. That will pay for your well-being programs 5 times over, the savings from a reduction in turnover.
It's unbelievable. I talked to an HR person and they said turnover typically costs about 2.5 times the salary of whatever position you're looking for. So that's pretty substantial, right?
That's very substantial. And again, that'll pay for a lot of well-being programs and consulting and advice. And I want to go back to something you said earlier. You said they don't know what they don't know. And, I talked to another one of our winners who said that they hired a PhD, that understood positive psychology and understood the science. Because you're right, they, sometimes you might be doing something, but how do you know? That might have very little effect on the productivity and performance of people or on retaining people. If you don't actually know what keeps people engaged, what, gets people motivated, what gets people inspired to act and do, great things for your company and be loyal and committed to your company. It's true. If you just don't know what you don't know, you're right.
Well, they're
you're just
often
that Taco Tuesday, and not that I love Taco Tuesday, by the way. There's nothing wrong with that. I'm just saying, but it's not, who knows if it's going to do anything to, to keep that person, from leaving your company, right?
Well, a lot of that comes back down to the lead and the lag indicators, right? So this is And I was at a summit not too long ago, and I was watching, and everybody got up there and they're talking about their dashboards. And I'm going, okay, so they've got the dashboard, and they were taking great pains in, oh, you've got that in the dashboard. Oh, you've got that in the dashboard. And how are you calculating that? And, you know, like they've got this lovely, they're all getting off on the system. Like they're all getting off on this system about how can I put it on one page and show that you know, what's absenteeism, what's turnover, what are my safety incidences, what, you know, what really is going, who's taking vacation time, how much am I paying out, all of that kind of stuff. Those are great lag indicators, great lag indicators. I'm not questioning them at all. I am going to say that that is not going to tell you how to keep the people, right? Those are, so you got to look for those lag indicators, and
yeah,
not that I haven't seen this in my own company, but I have seen it in other companies. And that would be where somebody at the C-suite level is distracted. They're anxious. There's a level of anxiety going on, and only after we're able to dig down a little bit, get them off into a little corner, do we find out that there's a family situation going on that is related to, in this particular case that I'm thinking of, it was related to a niece who was addicted and on the streets. And so there was an ongoing story going on there, but that was affecting the C-suite, this individual of the C-suite, and yet, I mean, he couldn't bring that to work because it's not work. But the thing is, if we're able to step in and actually effect change at that level, the CEO hasn't, or the C-suite person has not left yet. So we're not dealing with absenteeism. So there's not a turnover problem. There's a productivity level problem. And there's a stigma as well.
Yes, exactly. And we're hearing more and more about that people are distressed for nieces and nephews and children who are, you know, becoming addicted to drugs. And so you're right, it becomes then a family related issue, but you can uncover some of those things if you're having an intimate conversation with somebody that you trust, right? Then that can come out. Then they can find out that there's resources. And you know what else you find out? That you're not alone. You're not alone, because then there's lots of other people who come forward and say, you know, my niece is also, you know, what I had a client just the other day who said, we found out that one of the VP's daughters was cutting. You know, it came out in conversation. And, you know, and it's good to have people who can then lead you to the right resources. And so you have this peer-to-peer support, but you also have super ambassadors. Tell us, what are super ambassadors, and what do they do at PulseLearning?
Well, so what we have, so first we have 3 levels that people will go through. Okay, so if as needed. So say you're just a normal everyday employee. We have those members of our employees, and we try to get all of our employees to take a program called the Tribe Member, and that's I Am Here Tribe, right? So and what that does is it teaches them the ability to ask the question, show that you care, and then get help. So that you build off on those 3 things.
So there's some training that you give people so they know how to approach the conversation properly. Because I think sometimes people are apprehensive because they think, well, I'm not a psychologist or I'm not a psychotherapist. But it's just a simple of how can I help someone to then lead them to the professional help that they need. So first of all, they're getting some training to be a tribe member. I love that.
Right. And the whole idea behind that is ask the question, show you care, and then get help, right? We do that by teaching them a couple of very basic skills, how to be, and this is all part of our onboarding. So this is when somebody comes on, they take the courses, they become aware. So of course, then we teach them what we call clear skills: compassion, listening, empathy, being acceptance, and being real. Okay. So those 5 skills are all in that. Okay, that's the basic stuff. Because if we can teach people how to behave and how to communicate on a very basic level, then we can ask that question.
Love it. Yeah.
So the next level is what I call our mama bears and our papa bears. And these are people in our organization who they're just naturally people that you gravitate to and share your problems with and talk to. You can pretty much put a face on that person, right? Like, it's like, oh yeah, I can.
Yeah,
that would be.
I get that all the time. Everybody comes to me with their problems. Yeah.
Right. So, but then what we do is we equip them with being able to have a little bit more of we call it courageous conversation, being able to get a little bit more below what's really going on. And it's those people we empower with resources. So resources like our EAP, resources like local access to, because we're all over the place. We're fully remote. So how can we get them into, maybe they need to see their doctor, maybe they need to be on a suicide helpline, maybe they need to, like, how can we help? We also have our super ambassadors. We have several of them in the company, but we have a psychologist as well, who we have 2 of them who head our I Am Here program, and they are the people that somebody needs help right now. We'll get them on the line with John right away.
So they have the credentials then to, to do, right, perfect. So they're in-house, available, should there be a need. Yes, that's fantastic.
Well, you've got the basic skills, then you've got that, that I'll call it the linchpin kind of position, where if we just need to have a good cry in this, quiet room here, then that's great. And then you've at least got 2 people on your side who understand that something is going on with you, and you can be, the best that you can be today, whatever that happens to be, right? So it may not be how you look when you're, dressed to the nines and have had all the energy drinks and all that kind of stuff, but it's that being real, that individual that's sitting there going, yeah, no, this is me right now, and this is the best I can be.
Yeah, exactly. I really like that. I think that's such great support for your employees. And so how do you encourage engagement in the program? Because I know you're doing a number of different things that actually, because you could, create all these programs, if nobody's using them, it's not going to be very helpful. And so I think as any program, it's really important to also be disseminating the information so people know about it. So and then to encourage people to engage in it. So just share, I know you have a number of things that I can rhyme off, but I'd just love to hear from you. How do you get people to engage in these programs?
Well, first off, we do make it part of our onboarding. It is also part of the values that we're trying to instill here. These are things that are also, and I'm speaking for Lori at this point as well, these are things that are in the performance appraisal, because it's, HR wants to make sure that they're supporting all of our employees.
Yeah.
So we want to make sure that the values that we have are actually being demonstrated, that people are able to do this. So from an HR perspective, it's all there, right there. And it's in those 2 critical areas, the onboarding and the performance appraisal.
Nice.
The other things that we do, and we've had webinars where they've talked about women's health and menopause. We've had yoga, live yoga sessions where we can all participate in yoga at the same time. And there's a Christmas dinner that's coming up that we're all going to participate in Christmas dinner together. Like I said, we're all remote, so it's like, okay, so and we've been forewarned, we must show whatever it is that we're eating. So if it's Swiss chalet chicken festive dinner, then that's what it is. But if you want to make your own fancy kind of dinner, then you can do that as well. But so we do this, we do it through webinar.
Through
We have
Zoom or
regular
something.
meetings.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have regular Zoom meetings where everybody can come and participate. We have blogs. We have our newsletter that comes out Tuesday, Trio Tuesday, where what we do is we curate some of the best wellness, well-being information, bring it into one spot, and then literally it's delivered to your email. It's great reading. It's great stuff. And yeah, so it's, and the other thing that we do is if the question comes up, like if somebody asks a question, we will actually respond by making sure that the information is there. We've got our 6 pillars of wellness.
Right.
But what we'll do is we'll make sure that under those 6 pillars, we're answering whatever question it is, whether it's emotional, spiritual, physical, and of course, I'm going to blank, work and career. What have I got? 4 right now. So what we do is we tap into each one of those 6 pillars and make sure that we are getting that we're answering the questions. So you know, the other ones are financial and social well-being. So and what the other thing that we do as well, we don't come at this from a you should. And I'll use finances as an example. Finances, Dave Ramsey, Susie Orman, great people, wrote great books. You should.
Yeah, you should follow their formula or Right. And we, you know, we do that too.
We don't do that.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's a real principle in positive psychology, is that we always say that we describe rather than prescribe, you know, and because, you know, I always think of something like gratitude, for example. You know, it can be very helpful for people to improve happiness and well-being, but there are some studies that show it actually decreases people's happiness and well-being when they engage in these kind of gratitude journal exercises and things like that. And it usually has to do with different cultures. So these are usually studies done, you know, in different cultures, but in some cultures, it conjures up this idea of obligation. So I'm grateful for something, but I'm feeling I should be more obligated to I should be doing more for my mother, or I should be doing more for my father, or, you know, so lots of things come up there. And, or, you know, gratitude studies will show that gratitude is it's not great to do a gratitude journal every day. In fact, you have less benefits from that than if you do a gratitude journal every week. So, you know, I think it is, you know, important to, you know, to understand, you know, those basic things as well. Yeah.
Sure, for sure. I know my own personal exercises that, you know, I do with my family. I'll do gratitude, but I'll also do beauty. And sometimes it's an opportunity to, you know, where did you see beauty today?
Yes.
You know, just shifting it just a little bit.
And I think you need to know what works for you, you know. So I'm like, the gratitude journal doesn't really work for me, but I love getting out in nature and deciding what is a good person activity fit when think about Sonia Lyubomirsky's work. But I think that's why I always so I'll describe the research. I'll say, you know, you could try a gratitude journal. Here's what the research says. But I'd never say, oh, you need to start writing a gratitude journal, or everybody need, you know, because I don't know if that's going to be the right thing for you. I think you have to try it on and see if it fits. And I always cite a famous study where married people are happier than non-married people, but I know a lot of non-married people are much happier, and vice versa. So, you know, you can't just prescribe. We can't just prescribe for people to be. But Denise, is there anything else that you'd like to share about, you know, the uniqueness and how innovative your program is with our audience?
I think that just, you know, summing it up a little bit, this peer-to-peer idea, like I said before, I've seen the employers and the C-suites struggle with getting engagement, and they really don't know what to do. And it does come down to having those conversations. When you see somebody that's not quite themselves, taking the moment and actually stopping and showing some compassion, listening to them, being empathetic to their situation, accept what they're going through is what they're going through for them right at that moment, and it's tumultuous. And then be real and just say, either I get it or I don't get it, but I can at least direct you on to a place where you can get help. And because people can smell that inauthentic person real easily, but if you're able to set aside your own opinions and attitudes about things just to be able to help someone, so that's key. And if you can teach that, and that's where we found our success, is actually being able to teach it in very short periods of time. And that's part of the PulseLearning, the background of PulseLearning.
That's what you do.
That's what we do. We train people to, in certain behaviors, how to do certain things. So we've taken on the mental health side of things to really bring compassion into the workplace, bring it in and create those conversations with the buddy next to you in the cubicle next to you. And if you're able to do that, it's going to create that testimonial, like I said, where I'm a better father, I'm a better partner, I'm a better husband, I'm a better friend, better community member.
But Denise, I think you said something very profound there, which is we teach compassion. And some people think you can't teach that. Yes, you can.
Oh, no. Yeah, you can.
And I think that's brilliant. And if you can teach at those levels where then people are engaging in peer-to-peer assistance, support, learning, it's just such a great formula. I'm so inspired by what you're doing. Thank you so much for sharing this information. I think people are going to walk away with some real golden nuggets today. And I just appreciate you taking the time to share your knowledge with us. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Louisa. It's been a pleasure.